We have a good amount of people licensed in class. Rhonda?
Yeah.
How's it looking in there?
I mean, there's well over 50 people.
Well over 15. You know, there's different opportunities within Primerica, right? Obviously, there's the opportunity to come in and make some money part-time. There's the opportunity to be a professional financial advisor. But then there's the opportunity to have your own business. And the separator between people who work for themselves and people who run their own business is people who run their own business have trained others to be as good as them so that they can be in more than one place at one time, right? And that's one of the things that I talk about in the orientation, that the more places you can be in at one time, the more freedom that creates for you, and simultaneously, the more people get help if you're doing something good, right? So people need financial advice. People need help. People need an advisor. People need a financial coach. People need solutions. People need strategies. People need education. People need a financial person that has integrity, right? And no matter how many of those qualities you have and how much of that work you're willing to do, if you're only one person, there's only 24 hours in a day, there's only so much work you can get done. And so I knew early on, and really that was something that was kind of pressed upon me and really drilled into my brain, that I had to have as many licensed agents as I could possibly have. And you know, in the beginning the goal was having 5, and then it was having 10, and then it was having 25, and then it was having 50. Now, you know, I checked this morning, I have over 120 licensed agents. Shaq has 350 licensed agents. That's how you are going to make the kind of money that we talk about, right? See, if somebody says, hey, Shaq made $40,000 in a month, right? Some people are trying to make $40,000 in a year, right? I was looking at the incomes yesterday. You know, my mentors, they make $100,000 a month, $120,000 a month. It's like, damn, you know, someone's trying to make that in a year. These guys are making it in a month. And sometimes when you tell the outside world that people are making this kind of money, it's inconceivable to them because they think in an hourly, in their mind, they calculate per hour, right? They calculate per hour, they calculate paychecks, they think in a salary mentality, but that's not really how it works. Right? It's a multiplication thing. See, if you're just one person, there's only so many hours you can work in a day. So if I work really, really hard, right, really, really, really hard, let's say I work 16 hours in a day. That's twice as hard as the average person working 8 hours a day, right? So let's say I work really hard, I'm working 16 hours in a day. But if I have 100 people that work 8 hours a day, right, on my team as a part of my business is working 800 hours a day. That's when it becomes more manageable to believe and understand how people are making this type of money, because the average person is just working 8 hours a day, but these guys, their businesses are working hundreds of hours a day. And when you can pack in a month's worth of hours in a day, that's how you can make in a month what most people want to make in a year. Does that make sense? That's why we have the licensing class. It's not just for Shaq and I, it's so you guys can build your own brokerages. And so one day you can be a vice president. Right? If you look at any industry that's a brokerage model, whether it's car insurance, life insurance, real estate, investments, all of these different things are brokerages. They run the same way, where you have brokers at the top, you have agents working for them. The man or woman with the most licensed agents makes the most money, bottom line. I know the top producers in this area, mostly in real estate. Some of them are my clients, some of them are my friends, some of them I've shook their hand, I've met them before, right? And it doesn't matter how good a producer you are. If you are by yourself, you're never going to compete with, let's say, Scott McDonald of Remax, who has 200 realtors under him and has a net worth of $40 million and doesn't sell homes anymore. Isn't that amazing? That the best person at selling homes and that makes $1 million a year in this area, right, is making 10 times less than someone who doesn't sell homes at all in the same business, which is selling homes. that's what we're trying to get people to understand, is that it's not about sales, right? It starts there, but then it's about getting into sales management, training other salespeople. So great job getting people into class. We do have a little bit of recognition before we break up into the orientation. We had Devin pass his exam, so Shondell, why don't you come up here real quick, say a good word about that.
I'm super excited about Devin. He came in right away, went to class right away. He hasn't been here a couple Saturdays, so we were recognizing him a little late, but he's a really smart guy. He's interested in learning about finance, getting all the knowledge he could possibly get. He's actually going to the securities class tomorrow, so he's going to try to get that right away. And I'm just excited about teaching him what I know. So.
Great. So who recruited Blake? So Richard, come up here. Hey, Rick. Yeah!
I met Wayne a few months ago. He works in property management, and he's been coming around. Went to Ricardo Marcus's great class, of course, and this past Monday, passed for the first time. Wayne, come up.
Yeah!
He takes about an hour and a half to drive to work every day, there and back. He came in, and we drove from Alexandria to our Thursday Maryland op night, came back Friday night after work, did his orientation next day, went to class, and he is also taking another certification outside of doing this and driving, so passed this exam, the first shot, really excited about him. Give it up for Steven. Yeah. All right, so raise your hand if it's your first time here today or you're here for orientation. One. Stop hiding. You're hiding. 2, 3. All right, great. So why don't you guys go ahead and follow Thomas into the back room, and then we'll get our orientation started. Give it up for our new guests.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Let's do our top turnout real quick, and then we'll get started with training. Who has your below district and below stand up? stand. 2. And that's including the room and both rooms. 3. 4. 5. All right, let's give it up to CEO. All right, division leader, stand up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's give it up for a while. You have a We already went over who has people back there? Who has one guest back there? Raise your hand. All right, give it up to these guys. We've got 2. Stand up to get 2. All right. 3. Anybody 3? All right. Anybody 3 or more? All right, Jenny Lee, awesome job. All right, so anybody, does anybody understand how the Primerica bonus program works? Not really? No, like the RVP, the real bonus program. That's the awesome bonus program, right? New people have a bonus. So what's a bonus? A bonus is getting paid extra for what you really should already be doing. And there's targets, there's incentives. If you hit certain numbers, you get paid more money, right? I went over this yesterday. In the NFL and all these things, you know, they have incentive-based contracts, right? If you play every game, if you play 70% of the snaps, if you make the first team All-NBA, you get paid more money, okay? Now, I don't know about you. I didn't have that at my job, okay? I remember we'd be in our boardroom meetings, right, with the TPS reports, and it would be like, congratulations, team, we hit our target. We've gone 20% over whatever. And I'm like, and like people are like, yeah. I'm like, what the hell did you get? Because I'm the accountant. I was the accountant. I know what people got paid. They didn't get paid. I'm like, you didn't make any more money. Who gives a shit? Excuse my language, sorry. Right? Like, who cares? You know, when people come up here and they get recognized for passing the test, they have a license to print money. They can go give a presentation and get a check from somebody and get paid that night. You know, when you have your securities license, you can write an application and the client pays $500 a month, you know, invest $500 and you get paid every single month. So you help a client one time, you get paid forever. I like lifetime residual income. That's just something that like sounds really good to me. They start calling me, right? Man, I closed this. And I'm like whispering all. I said, who are you talking to? How was it? Did you close it? What were you wearing on the appointment? Zach, don't do that. This is 10 years you can do this. And then, my wife said, what happened? I'm like, oh. then it's a three-way dirty call. I was like, really? These are rich people problems. I put my kids, I was telling Rich, I put my kids in the hot tub last night, because the pool, it takes a long time to heat. And it was only 92 in the hot tub, so you get out, my son's all cold. I'm like, man, we're in our own hot tub. I'm thinking like this, he's already spoiled. He's already man, he's like, Daddy, you said it was gonna be hotter. We're in there for an hour. We're in there an hour, and it got really cold, and then we were there till like 9:30. And then it was just sitting there, me and my daughter and my son. It was a great time. I'm thinking, wow, this is just incredible. Then I started thinking, these are like rich people problems. But anyways, I don't know if I told you this when we were so this was my bonus this month. I just got paid this morning. I made 20 grand my first year part-time. I got a $19,607 bonus this morning. What was it, paid last night? Yeah. All right, so this is how the bonus program works. So on my base shop, I got $5,100. Okay, so we did about 40 grand on base, got $5,100. Right? Then my RVP bonus for if I wasn't an SVP, no NSD, but if I just got promoted, I didn't get the numbers, I got another $4,400 on my RVPs, right? But I'm an SVP, so I got another $3,500. NSD, $2,000. I'm a power builder, which means you do a 20 by 20 base, and you do 75 through first, right? I got an extra $3,361, and OSJ just on the life portion for supervising you guys, that's $1,000 for a total of $19,670. Is it worth it to show up?
Yes. Yes.
Would I be it? Right? You know how hard I fight for those t-shirts, those stupid t-shirts that we give out? Paper clips, hats, you know, winners, dinners, conference call incentives. Right? Every Saturday morning, every Friday, every Thursday, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday morning, Saturday morning, conference calls at night, KTs at night, right? Things that I wanted. I wanted zero debt. I wanted a nice, unbelievable family life and a huge freaking income, passive income. Those things is that too much to ask? Right? That's what I wanted. Nice life, you know, no debt. I just didn't want any debt. I hate debt. I just want no debt. I've had debt before. I hated it. Right? You know, I remember, you know, I wouldn't pay my bills sometimes, stupid stuff, you know, calling cards. When we were in college, right, you had to, like, call back home and be like $1 a minute, literally. And you do these stupid calling cards, and I wouldn't pay them. And, you know, I signed up for Sprint. I was like the first kid ever to have a cell phone bill. I mean, a cell phone. I had one in high school, which was a long time ago. I was like Zach Morris with the big phone. And I didn't pay the bill. The bill they would go to collections, and my dad was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it." He's like, "So irresponsible." I hated debt. I wanted no debt. A lot of money saved up, and I wanted a big income, huge income, huge income, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, passive income. That only in this company. Only in this company. You know, I was talking to Samir the other day, because one of our friends from high school, real good friend of mine, and Samir knows him too. He started a business, and really good business, and he was very successful. And 2 years ago, I mean, he made tons of money. I was telling him, he got like this. It's a government type business. He's AA certified, and you understand. I mean, it's pretty hard to do that. It's like, for some people, it's like winning the lottery. So get all these contracts, did unbelievable. And, you know, he wasn't bragging or anything like that. We're talking, we're basically neighbors, went to high school together, we played soccer together, really great friend, right? So I called him just the other day. I was just talking to him, and I was like, hey, I mean, he let me present his company. His company used some of our services, Primerica Services, everything, right? And I talked to him, he's like, hey, the business is gone. I was like, wow. I was like, 2 years, you had your banner year, right? And I just told Samir, was shocked.
What was his revenue?
It was $20 million. His revenue was $20 million. 2 years later, business is gone. I'm not joking. I told Samir, he was shocked. I go, hey man, I just talked to my friend. He goes, the business is gone. I said, what happened? He goes, people aren't going 8A, there's no margins, this and that. He's like, I gotta let it go. He's like, I'm glad because he had to spend money. He spent $2 million to buy this business. Now, he didn't spend $2 million, he spent $500 and then paid $1.5 million over time in payments. But he's like, thank God we had that banner year so I didn't lose any money. He's like, I've just wasted my time. It's like 6 years. And he's just like, how are you doing? I didn't even want to tell him. This is too much for you right now. I can't tell you. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that great either. A lot of these guys, my friend Willie, he's killing me, and Joe Ward, they're killing me. And, I mean, I'm killing you, but they're killing me. I don't have to say that because I don't care. But you know what I mean? I don't even want to tell him because he was just kind of, like, and what did I say? Samir, what did I tell? I called you, what did I say? I said, man, there's no business like this business. Because we get interested too. People talk because they always present us ideas. Start a record label, let's do an app, let's do this, all this stuff, and it all sounds great. And they throw all these words out. This is $1 billion. We're like, oh shit. Right? And, we 100 million. We get excited because that's what we hate. Nothing like this. Nothing like this. Nothing like this. Nothing like this. There is not any business like this. An opportunity like this where you can change your life, man. I'm talking, I would tell you, you can't even dream it because it's just not in your head yet. Like, I didn't know that these things, I just didn't know. I killed it my first year. I did really 20 grand. That's all I made. I made $1,600 a month. And I was like that. I was on top of the world. My second year, I made $71,000. I was like, man, this is freaking incredible. I didn't think, I was like, yeah, okay, these guys, it's for them, but they, it's Collis Temple. He went to LSU. He played for the Pistons. That's not me. Or other people. But then it's just like, man, okay. And then we start getting people, and they start showing up, and they come, and then they bring 3 people, and then you have a meeting, and then 2 people pass in a month, and you're like, yo, this thing is working. And you have a breakout month, and then you get paid, and you get a check, right? And then you cash it, and it clears. Right? Because people say, it's just, hey, my check's clear. I don't know about yours. My bank account is going up. I don't know, maybe they didn't tell my bank yet that Primerica is a fraudulent scheme for 41 years that they've been tricking everybody, including the banks, and they're doing counterfeit money. And my IRAs are getting funded, and all of them they're still growing. I don't know, it's weird. So they have the most elaborate scheme in the world, right? That's always remember that. I think it's always kind of fun, because I know we work hard, we grind, we drive here. Some of you guys pay tolls. The gas light's on. You don't know how you're going to get home, right? You're so excited. You brought donuts for somebody. They didn't show up, right? And they cost you $3. Right? You'll find some good people. You get the right people on your bus, right? And one day you'll be showing this to your team. It might be 50 grand. Right? It might be 100 grand. There's people in this company get $100,000 bonuses a month. Right? Christian always texts me. I haven't got it yet because he's on vacation. He's like, yeah, what's your bonus? And I'll never answer. I said, what was yours? 55,000. Right? All right. We have a great training prepared. At the end of the day, it's always about recruiting. Okay? Always about building a team. Always about getting people involved, getting people licensed, talking to people, and becoming a pro at that. Okay? I'm going to come back and do a training on investments. It'll be a little higher stuff, but I wanted to open up with a prospecting training, just to give you some ideas on what you can do to grow your business, right? Jim Coker gave me great advice a long time ago. He said, find 3 things that you'll do. Okay, find 3 things that you'll do. 3 areas where you can grow your business, where you can get new people to come into your business, all right? So I think you did, what, 18 recruits last month? How many did you do? Huh? 18 recruits. 18 recruits, great prospector. Let's give it up for RVP, Sophia Saeed.
Where's my John? Where's Janet right there? That's so anyways, man, it's amazing to be here. So good. So prospecting, right? Now I've kind of gone over this before, and I was thinking about it. It's like Jack is like, can you do something on prospecting? I was like, I've already done that one, but the thing is this, right? The fundamentals. Okay, Hector Lamarck talks about how it's like we go over the same things kind of over and over and over again, right? Because if you mastered it, you'd be doing it, and your numbers would probably be bigger and everything, right? But also, as we refine our skill set, a lot of it's for the new people. So we have some new people in the room. Anybody new? Anybody seeing this kind of for the first time? Anybody want to learn about how to prospect? Right? Absolutely, right? So we want to be able to do that and get really great at it, okay? So prospecting is what fundamental, according to Hector Lamarck? The number 1. Why is that? It's kind of like the most important thing, right? It's all about kind of filling that pipeline. Now, we got this new office. Shout out to the live new office, right? But so we've been thinking a lot about just kind of like moving forward and training and how we want to be able to do this. And you know, there are some things that are just kind of like technical. We want to get really good kind of on that client side and have a good schedule. But it all starts with filling that pipeline, right? I think I've said this before. Let's see if I can still remember it. But massive prospecting leads to what? Massive recruiting, which leads to what? Massive codes, leads to what? Massive money, which leads to what? Like massive freedom, and that's why we're here, right? So it all starts with this. Let me see, is this working? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? There we go. Okay, excellent. So, Ian Pruckner, kind of like a successful dude in the company. So, does anybody know who he is? Does anybody not know who he is? Ian, right? So Ian Pruckner started our company, you know, he was I think about 22 or 23 years old. And he was just, you know, working at his church, like working in the band, everything like that. He even had a mohawk, wasn't making a ton of money. And he got into our business, and in 7 months, became a regional vice president. And in 9 years, was making how much? Over $1 million a year, okay? So, you know, one day I was like looking for, you know, better prospecting sources, things like that myself, looking for other ways to be able to fill the pipeline. And I came across this audio of his. You guys probably know it's called Full Timers Boot Camp. Okay, write that down. You can find it on SoundCloud, and you can find it on YouTube, right? But he kind of talks about, like, you know, and Shay always says this, we have to, how does it go, Shay, about we have to, like, be in business while we build a business, or stay in business while we build a business, right? This is basically how he built his massive income, over $1 million a year, passive, right? So first of all, he talks about doing the right things over time. This is the little thing here, right? So doing the right things over time. One thing that Shaq told me when I first came here, right, and we're all starting out, he's like, Sophia, somehow, some way, as long as you just keep showing up and getting better, you're going to make it, okay? Now, we're going to have up times, down times, good days, and bad days, but as long as you stay consistent over time, you will have results, okay? What does that mean? That means that if you are more of like full-time, right, you want to make sure that you're getting at least 1 personal recruit and 2 life sales every week by yourself. That's not your team, but that's by you. So we need targets to keep us on track. Shaq says, when's month end? Every single week. You know, like when I first came in the business, right, at 5 by 10K personal, Shaq had this call on Sunday night, and we had this accountability, right? Month end was every single week, and we had to have our week set up. That's extremely important. You know, we talked about yesterday at the full-timers meeting the 100-point system, right? It's like you have to make sure you're filling that pipeline, because if you have a good week, you're going to have a good month. And if you have a good day, you're going to have a good week, right? So 1 personal recruit, 2 life sales, right? And this is what Ian Pruckner's mentor told him. He said, if you do that every week by yourself in 12 months, how long is that? A year. In 12 months, you'll have a consistent $100,000 passive income, right? And what you need to be able to do that is 40 to 50 contacts per week. And there's many, many ways to be able to get those contacts, right? And we're going to go over some of those things here. Routine that allows you to do the right things, okay? Like sometimes they say being your own boss could be the best thing, but being your own boss could be the worst thing, right? You really have to discipline yourself here, but you want to make sure that you build in the right routine. We usually say, what, recruit by day, sell by night, right? So it's making sure you're faithful to those things. So 3 things count as work in our business. There's only 3 things. 1, setting appointments, right? Which we do what? Saturdays at the very least, we actually set out that time to make sure that's getting done, right? 2, being on appointments, and then 3, doing the legwork necessary to have an unlimited amount of appointments to be on. Setting appointments, being on appointments, and then basically prospecting, doing what you have to do so you can be on that's our business, folks. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you have that schedule that allows for that every day, and you need to prioritize prospecting. You need to. Right? Because the thing is, even if you mastered the KT and you're amazing at what you do, if you have no one to tell it to, are you going to have any results? It's not. I tell Therese this and our team this all the time. What do we just need? We need to open your mouth. Just open your mouth. That's the business. Just get in front of people. That's all it is. And even if you're horrendous at this business, people are logical, right? Like I told the story about Charles Whitener, who's $1 million earner in our company. You know, he had a gentleman, didn't even really speak English, brand new with the little flip chart, and Charles couldn't even understand what he was saying. And so he's like, let me just read this. And he just flipped it himself. He's like, oh, makes sense. Okay. Recruited himself, and he makes over $1 million a year. Okay? So, but that guy got in front of somebody, okay? So again, 5 renewable sources of people that you can integrate on a weekly basis that keep warm market, high quality contacts come into your sphere of influence, right? So that means that you need to have these 5 renewable sources. 5 different places for you to be able to prospect and fill that pipeline. It's all about filling the pipeline. Oops, my bad. We'll just start over. No, just kidding. All right. So, I don't know why I'm having such time. Okay. So, first, there's the hard contact networking, right? So, if anybody's ever heard of, like, the BNI, things like that, okay? So, and we've talked a little bit about this. I mean, honestly, a lot of the results and a lot of things that I've been doing has been, as far as like kind of out and about and everything, has been through networking groups. And I've seen a lot of, based on the group meets, a lot of people have had a lot of success here, right? Not necessarily officially, being in a BNI. And this is something that Ian Proctor talks about. It is kind of hard to get in a BNI. Usually that spot for, insurance or investments or whatever else is already taken. So he talks about creating your own, and that's what I'm going to do. I want to be able to kind of create my own and stuff too. But anyway, so BNI, right, the different kinds of groups, basically what that is, it's one person per profession, okay? And then they all gather together for the sole purpose of providing high quality, referrals to one another. How great is that? You meet there, for an hour and a half or so once a week, and people from all different, businesses and industries, right, want to give you referrals like, hey, this person wants life insurance, this person wants investments, whatever else, and they just give it to you. Like, how great is that, So, and part of that is that you want to be able to do one-on-one. So there's the once-a-week meeting, but then also you do these one-on-ones, which is you get together with another person, and then you just kind of learn a little bit of about what they do. You tell them a little about what you do. If you can do business with each other, great. But at the very least now, you have an additional, basically unpaid salesperson out there who's representing you and helping you develop more business. I do this all the time. Our team does a lot of one-on-ones, right? It's like, think about, and this, it's not just through, officially going to a BNI, but think about all of the business owners, that you might know. Anybody who's a dentist, Therese, has been phenomenal at this. Like, she's like, if they own a business, I'm going to talk to them, and our way of setting appointments is not necessarily training, right? But it's the one-on-one. It's like, hey, you're in business, I'm in business, like, let's get together and see what we can do to help each other grow our businesses. Who doesn't want to do that? So again, we just want to get in front of people so that we can just share with them what we do. Because guess what, right? If they're logical, they'll do business. And most people want to be able to come and work with us anyways, okay? We just need to get in front of people. Why it's worth it, right? So, usually, like, this is Ian's results. He got 1 qualified sale a week minimum. High quality, high persistency, right? These are referrals. These are people that are saying, I need me some life insurance, okay, right? They want it, right? And also, it's already coming from a trusted source. So if your goal is 2 life sales a week, You go to a group like this, and you already took care of one, right? Also, very high quality recruits. Like who's waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to a 7 o'clock meeting to be able to do something to move their business forward? People that are already entrepreneurial, business-minded, and wanting to work, right? So I've met people, actually a number of people, a lot of times these are great referral partners, like these silent partners, right? But it's like these people are very motivated. They are ideal, you know, to be able to go and meet with and everything. So they can sometimes develop into more. Sometimes doing the business model that they're doing isn't really producing as much results as they'd hope, or they want to supplement, right? Any questions on that? You guys got it? Okay, excellent. I bet I keep doing that. Just kidding. Wait a second. What happened here? Okay. All right. Anyways, what's going on? Ah, Thomas, you betrayed me. Hold on a second. This is bizarre. Okay. All right, just everybody awake, right? Everybody, okay? All right, so anyway, so this is kind of like the script. Now, there's one thing to go to a BNI, and you can go there and you can kind of visit and things like that and make contacts that way. But then another one is that you can actually create your own, and that's what Ian did. And in fact, he has like the biggest one or something like that in Michigan, or the second biggest one. So this is kind of what you say, okay? So when you're calling, you're looking for certain kinds of like just small business owners, not big business. You want to get to the owner and get to this guy, right? By the way, the people that you know, are small business owners, guess what? They need their own benefits, right? Guess who provides the best benefits in the industry? We do. Okay, so again, if we can get a chance to share and they're logical, basically we do business. Okay, so hey, Bob the plumber, this is Ian. You and I don't know each other, but I'm a local business owner as well. There are 2 reasons for my call. We have a local group of business owners that get together once a week to pass referrals. We're looking for someone to pass referrals in your industry. Let me ask you a question. Are you open to doing more business by referral? Who would say no to that, right? So if yes, okay, great. Can I save you a seat for our next upcoming meeting? It's at Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. So can I save you a seat? Of course he's gonna say something. Now, if he's, you know, didn't have his coffee that morning and he says no, right? He's gonna say, well, you know, not really. Okay, that's great. That might not be for you. Can you refer me to someone else in your profession that would be more interested in getting referral business because we have referrals passed? And then he's like, oh, my bad. Oh, yeah, actually, I might be interested, right? But also, and this is the thing here, too, and you could do this with any business owner, right? I use this all the time. You know, kind of the second reason for my call, right? Whether or not you're interested in this, I would love to network with you personally. Let's grab a coffee to talk about how we can help each other grow our businesses. This is a slam dunk. I can't remember one time that somebody did not want to do that. Anybody who owns a business or is passionate about whatever it is that they're doing, right? So that's kind of the script there. The other thing is this, okay, so the soft contact networking. BNI, it might be a little bit more kind of work to try to get into and or create, but the soft contact networking, that's all over the place. You know, I know a lot of people have been doing like meetups. You know, there's probably Facebook groups, like wherever you can go, like that, you know, hear the different sources, right? Chamber of Commerce, young professionals groups, you know, stuff at church, Rotary clubs, whatever else. Like literally, you know, there are organizations that are specifically designed for people of business to meet each other to do more business and build business in the community. All over the place, right? So you want to plug into your local one, and there's tons of them all the time. So this is like, this is not very rigid, you know, like this is just like people show up, there could be like 100 different people from like 100 different plumbers, it doesn't matter and stuff like that. It's not one per profession, but people are going to network and, you know, find contacts and stuff like that, right? You should be going on at least one of these a week, right? I tell my team this, it's like, Google it up, spend some time, look for the events, stick it in the calendar. So that, like, and put as many as you can, because even if, you know, has anyone ever had an appointment, you know, cancel on them? Now, you should be double booked, so you always have somewhere to go, okay, right? But in the case that, like, you know, there's something going on, you should already pre-plan your week and have it in the calendar so that if, like, you have that opening, guess what? You're going there. You're going to go meet new people. You're going to fill up that time, okay? And this is what Ian had, average 1 recruit and 1 sale from each event. So imagine if you went to 2 a week, 3 a week, 4 a week, 5 a week. There are so many places to meet people. You need to go out there and meet folks. Like, you know, I was kind of guilty of this a little bit. I love my Primerica family. I love being around Primericans, you know, and stuff like that. I wasn't really doing a whole lot, you know, like other than, you know, Primerica type stuff, okay? But then I was like, you know what? If I actually do other stuff, I'll meet new people, right? And then make new friends and be able to kind of grow that way too. So, keep doing that. All right, so Soft contact everyone, what to do, okay? So when you go to these events, right, you don't want to talk to everyone. You know, you want to kind of be a little selective because it's usually like maybe an hour or so of event. Sometimes the networking's only like a half an hour or whatever. So you do, want to be a little judgy and stuff like that. It's like, somebody, I can't remember where I heard this, but they said, only like prospect people that you think that you may want to pay a salary to. Now granted, you never know, right, who can lead you to whomever, but if you have a choice of a lot of different people, kind of look for the sharper folks and everything, the people kind of the sparkle in your eye, right? So target market, sharp but not too sharp. Because you might find a guy with like, the three-piece suit and this and that, and he thinks he's God's gift. Like, pretty people don't really do a lot here and stuff like that. We want people that can keep it real, okay? And what you do is, so when you go there, right, so look, first of all, you guys, when you're new to this, even myself, it's kind of like a little nerve-wracking, right? Bring a buddy, because you're like, I don't know what to say, and whatever, and da-da-da. But at the end of the day, these are just human beings. These are people, right? Just like you. And they feel the same way that you do. So just, this is going to get you out of your comfort zone, get you out of your shell. But so what you do, you keep it 10 seconds, something like pretty short or whatever, like if they ask you what you do and things like that. But just chit-chat. You want to leave them with a good feeling. Like they're going to meet a bajillion of people that night. They're going to get a whole lot of cards. I mean, same thing for me. But if you have a warm connection with somebody, that's what they want to remember. They want to, you know what, man, Omar, he's a great guy. Like he might not remember what you did and stuff like that. But, he's like, when you call him, he'll remember that. You see what I'm saying? So, he's interesting, and mostly we always want to do what? Like, still with people, you want to talk about them. You want to ask about them and stuff like that, right? So just so that they can remember, you're not trying to do a KT there, you're not trying to do a recruiting interview there at all. You just want to get to know them as people, not really talk about the business, keep to the absolute minimum. Then at the end, right, you want to say, hey, let me grab one of your cards, right? If he asks for a card, give it. If not, don't, right? He's probably going to lose the card anyways, and you want to have control of that contact, okay? Any questions about that? All right, so this is how it goes when you actually call. So you're going to the event. By the way, got me looking sharp. You know what I'm saying? Not super duper mega sharp, right? But you want to look good because again, in the same that you're trying to differentiate people who you want to talk to, they're doing the same thing. Okay, right? And they will judge you in a hot second. So you want to look like a successful business person. Okay, right? And so you want to bring your best game there, have the greatest smile, things like that, because they're doing the same thing you're doing. It's all for the same purpose, right? So then you get the card. Right? You wait, Ian says, wait a day or two, let their hearts pine for you, right, and stuff. And then you call, and this is how the conversation goes. Hey, Brian, this is Ian. You might not remember me, but we met at the networking event last Tuesday. It was really great getting to talk to you. I'm glad you had the chance. I'm glad we had the chance to meet, right? Hey, listen, the reason for my call is I would love to grab a coffee with you and chat a little bit more about how we can help each other grow our businesses. That's the key phrase, right? When I do out-and-about prospecting, what's my key phrase, guys? So you keep your options open for part of full-time work, right? Your key phrase. The key phrase to this is just right here. You can use this with anybody in any contacts, right? But, we'd love to chat a little bit more about how we can help each other grow our businesses, okay? You just want to get to the table. I think at a minimum, we'll be able to do some referral business together. At a maximum, Brian, we may actually be able to actively generate some revenue, right? Business owners, like these words are handcrafted. They love referrals, they love revenue, right? So as far as us getting together, I have some time tomorrow, Wednesday. What's best for a half-hour coffee, okay? So here's when you actually get to that meeting, okay? I know a lot of people are like, well, what do we present and what do we do? And I don't really have an answer for that. My one-on-ones have been completely different every single time. And what I've found is if somebody's kind of already interested in certain stuff, I remember one of my very first one-on-ones, they're like, oh, y'all do insurance? We'll take two, kind of thing. It's like, they're already kind of predisposed. It's a conversation, and you feel it out. Everybody has a different style. The point is you want to make a relationship, right? Learn a little bit about them, learn a little bit about you, but just keep it real and be natural. Like, these are people. That's one of the things I've just been noticed, like, it's that relationship, right? So, but what happens is, so you go there, so you set the stage. You want to give that intention statement, right? So, good meeting you the other day at the event. You were one of the couple of guys I wanted to connect with. I'm just glad we're able to get together. Like I told you on the phone, we're meeting, sorry for the grab-it-off stuff, right, about how we can grow each other's businesses. Brian, I have 2 goals for today's meeting. Goal 1 is I'd like to get to know more about you and your business and find a couple of great quality referrals for you over the next few days or weeks tops. I would also like to give you an opportunity to earn my business. if what you do could benefit me, I want to hear about that. And I'd like to give you an opportunity to earn that. So now he's like in love with you. He's like, oh my goodness, it's the best meeting I've ever had ever. You want to give me referrals and you want to do business with me? That's phenomenal, right? So that sets the stage, right? Is that okay with you? Right, of course, right? The second goal I have is I'd like to educate you a little bit about who I am looking for and what I'm doing. And I'd like to have a couple of good quality referrals from you over the next few days or a week, right? So the same thing. I would also like the opportunity to earn your business if I could provide value to you. Are you okay with that, right? And I've never had anybody say they're not, okay? So it's very reciprocal, and then that way you have a chance to get to know what they do and stuff, right? So another thing, actually I'll do like another quick kind of piece there, because this is probably what I do the most of when it comes to prospecting. Right? We do a lot of recruiting at the kitchen table. That's honestly probably where most of it comes from. But I want to make sure that we're doing massive recruiting. So that means focusing on this sort of stuff, right? So I'm trying to remember what the point that I wanted to kind of say when I'm here. But sometimes when it comes to like referrals and stuff, we're like, well, I don't know if I really have any clients or anything like that I can send them right away. It's not always clients. Sometimes it's other connections. Right? So if somebody's in, real estate and I know other mortgage brokers or somebody else or vice versa, it's like, oh, let me send you, they're like, oh, we're looking for this kind of realtor. I was like, oh, I know a bunch of them. When you do a lot of these kinds of meetings, you start to develop and build a network, right? And then what I do is, I just send a text and I connect them real quick. And I just connect, right? And people really they appreciate that because you're kind of showing them that you're putting in that effort. But also the thing is this, and this is very true. A lot of my clients come to me for everything. You become their trusted everything. They ask you for a hairstylist, right, Teresa, we were just on appointment, and the bride-to-be had a hairstylist fiasco or whatever. I was like, I got someone for you, right? And so we were able to make those connections. And then it just adds value. It builds even stronger relationships. And right now, a lot of you are kind of beginning, just like I am, right? But the more you do, the stronger those networks. And Ian talks about how he's they know that he's extremely well connected. And imagine what that can do for you in the future, right? Just providing value for people. The other thing, right, he talks about is church. Okay, so you're not going to church, right, to prospect, but a lot of people, I think Ian does a great job. This Ian, right? Are you Ian, right? But he talks about making friends. I just made another friend, right? Shay talks a lot about that too. I just made another friend, right? Our whole business is what? Getting in front of people and sharing with them what we do. That's it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We just want to get in front of people and share with them what we do. And so it's hey, people at church are usually very good-hearted people. They're usually pretty open-minded people, right? And they usually are responsible people. They want to do good things. So they're excellent people to be able to kind of connect with and stuff as well, right? Another thing that you could do is what's called STEAM, okay? So with STEAM, you basically, this is getting in front of centers of influence, right? For the sole purpose of, the only purpose of finding good quality people. There's a lot of audios, by the way, on Steam. I'm trying to remember, I was just listening to one the other day. Daryl Hawes has one. There's another one that's really good that I was just listening to. I can't remember who that was, but anyways, found it on SoundCloud and stuff, right? So with Steam, so you're just getting in front of centers of influence, and you can kind of level with them and things like that and be like, look, I know that this is not, for you, maybe this is the mayor of the town or the owner of a big business, and they already got their thing going on, right? However, I'm looking for, the right kind of people. We're expanding right now. We need good quality folks, and I know that you're going to come across a lot of those people, so I just want to share with you kind of people that we're looking for. And there's a whole methodology that you go through in the audio, but basically, you want to just sit down with them and just say, hey, look, we're looking for these kinds of people. And you do a quick, name game or whatever. Hey, who's the first person that comes to mind that you think is a really great, kind of salesperson? Not salesy, but somebody who really provides good value, stuff like that. And they, boom, they're name association, right? Who's the best teacher that you know, right? Who's the most enthusiastic person that you know? Who's the most ambitious, motivated, money-motivated person? Somebody that really is looking to, make more income or needs to make more money, right? So you find really good quality people there, and then you kind of run through a certain script with that as well, where you let them know, what you're going to actually say when you call. Because, right, when it comes to referrals or anything else, they don't want you to blow up their market or make them look bad or uncomfortable or something like that. And so you want to kind of tell them ahead of time, hey, so if I said to so-and-so, like, hey, you're the best teacher that so-and-so, knows and things like that, is that true, whatever, then they're much more comfortable with that, and then the person on the other end is very open to that. Any question about STEAM? I know I'm just kind of going over things high level, but go through, do your homework over this next week, learn, master these things. And the whole thing is this: with the 5 to stay alive, you'll find whatever it is that works for you. And it's different for everybody. Certain things work better, but you just have to try it. Shaq says too, it's like not everything works all the time, but everything works some of the time. Is that what it is, right? So the other thing that you can do is also just client referrals. You can call them to ask for other clients. You can call them to ask, or referrals, right? You can call them to ask for, you can steam them. You can get up to date. You should be calling them anyways, right? Because they need additional service, or maybe something changed or whatever. I keep using Trez as an example, but she was a client of mine, one of my very first clients, right? And then 2 years later, we're sitting down, and guess what? It is the right time. Now she's the newly minted division leader and everything. Let me just give it up for her. Turn around, right again. But who knows, right? You need to, things change and stuff too, right? So you can call your clients if you have nothing else to do, whatever. And then this is my favorite slide. It's the use your imagination slide. And everything. So, but does anybody have any questions, or? I just did such a phenomenal job. Not one question. It's amazing. Oh my gosh. Sure.
With other women's art, explain, we did each other by referral, and then the idea of network personally. And if that's really different, it sounds like it's somewhat similar. Maybe on the slide.
What do you mean using other?
I just wrote this down.
Okay.
You had said, when you're approaching someone, you'd say, I'd love to do business with each other, share referrals. And the other, there was a second point, if not that, or if you're moving on away from that, to network personally together. Maybe it's just the same thing.
Is it?
Say the first one. I think it's that one.
It's the idea of
Oh, wait.
it's the idea of the group versus.
There. They say no.
Creating the group? All right, so the second reason for the call. Okay, so this is you want them to join your official networking group. If they're like, well, no, not really, or whatever, or that's too early in the morning, or something like that, then it's like, hey, last ditch effort, let's do a one-on-one. That's what that is. Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, really the key for me, you guys, is just the one-on-one is probably the best thing that I've ever learned, and probably one of the best things that I do, other than recruiting at the KT. So, excellent. Well, give it up for Shaquille Islam, future international.
One thing I learned a long time ago when dealing with technical stuff in Primerica is if you learn the concepts, the words follow. Okay? Now, you should be really good with your words, and you should know what to say in certain situations, but a lot of times, if you get the concepts, you can dumb it down for people, for clients, for people that are intimidated. And one thing I think that's a very complicated subject, and it's not that complicated, but we make it extremely complicated in our head, is investing in retirement and taxes and things like that, which there are some aspects of it that are very complicated, okay? But I'm going to try to educate you guys a little bit and just do some training on qualified plans, our normal presentation. But before I go into that, I just want to explain a few things on how the history of retirement has worked and things like that, and why there are pitfalls, and why it's very important to get our clients to take action by writing checks and investing. You know, there was an old Smith Barney ad a long time ago when I started the business that said it was your serious money, right? And everything was coined your serious money. Invest your serious money. Because that's what we're doing, right? We're getting clients to invest their serious money. They don't want to write a $100 check. They don't want to write a $200 check, a $500 check. But we got to get them to put away their serious money. Okay? And that's not easy to do. All right. So, in our qualified plans presentation, what is the purpose of the qualified plans presentation? Anybody know?
To introduce the Roth IRA?
To introduce the Roth IRA, right? Ultimately, that is our end goal. It's to educate them about retirement plans, but more importantly, to introduce the Roth IRA. Okay? Because the Roth IRA is the greatest tool for retirement that you can ever have. The greatest, the absolute greatest thing ever. Okay? It's so great. Wealthy people have petitioned legislation to say, we will pay all this taxes now. Like say for example, I have $100,000 in my 401k. I roll it to a traditional IRA, right? We'll say, we will pay taxes on this amount so we can take a, what's it called when they move the traditional to the Roth? Conversion. Good guess, though. I'm looking at you. Why am I looking at you like that? Because you got to get your securities license, right? You're a securities expert without the license. Right? They do a conversion. I'll pay taxes on this $100,000 so I can move it to a Roth. Because it's what? Tax-free. Think about that. You know how for people I mean, paying taxes on $100,000, right? To put that as income, it's a lot of money. It's a huge tax bill. Because no, later on I don't want to pay any taxes. I want to withdraw free and clear. Or if I die, I can go to my kids. Tax-free. They never have to take a withdrawal, and then when they do it, they can take it. Think about that. Is that like estate planning? You take a conversion, you freaking put, say I will my kids $300,000 in a Roth IRA, and they'll never have to pay taxes on it, and they don't have to withdraw it. It's just like amazing. So, you know, now we don't go through any of this stuff with the client. We just want to explain to them that tax-free is better than tax-deferred. Okay? But before you kind of understand that, you got to understand kind of the history of, all right, pull up, the history of pensions and things, and why why retirement is such an epidemic in this country. Why people are not retiring, why they're working, why they're dependent on family members, on government, on food stamps, on assisted living. They are just in poor financial shape. Okay? Now we have a lot of, we have a handful of people that are doing well in retirement. Right? Sophia, your mom is one of them, right? My dad is one of them. Right? But, I mean, I don't, and I'm sure Sophia's mom is the same way as my dad. I don't even want to explain to you the things that my dad did. Right? I mean, we couldn't even, we would go to like McDonald's, that was our eating out, and we had to share one soda. 3 of us. That's what we did. And my dad had money. We were never hand them out. He just like, if you spilled the milk, you got hit. You can do water, but if you spill milk, My dad didn't let us waste a freaking penny. Like, you know, I look at my, you know, my nieces, right? They'll get the biggest things, Cokes possible in a meal, and they'll take one sip and throw it out. My dad would, I mean, if we did that, I mean, but that's why my dad has money, right? So you guys, part of that, you have to be like that. My dad was just an absolute fanatic about saving. Fanatic. Crazy person. And so you have to be like that, right? And I'm sure you were like that, right? Some people work 2 jobs. My dad, You know, he had property, he was like a property manager in his second job, managing real estate properties. He did that, and he painted, and no, he'll never do it, right? I remember all the time, like, the property management company, like, oh, they'll give $3,000 to paint. My dad would never hire a painter. We'd be in there. Painting all the time. Damn, like, I don't think this is good for me to smell all this paint. Whatever. You know, this painting, me and my mom, my dad, whole family. That's what we did. Right? So there are some people, but, you know, there isn't, obviously we have a spending problem, and, you know, all that stuff, and people don't save money. They don't live right, right? They're too concerned about having stuff now, immediate gratification, looking like you have money. Don't ever do that. Okay? Don't ever do that. I mean that. You know, don't ever do that. You know, save every freaking penny you can save, man. I mean, I don't care, you know, pack your lunch, go to Dunkin' Donuts instead of Starbucks. All the things I do not do now, you know. You know, pack all that stuff is really important because, you know, saving anything, $100, $200, it just does wonderful things for you psychologically. Okay, so pensions. Okay, let's talk about pensions. So the reason why before people were doing okay is something called pensions, right? That companies would offer a pension, right? Which means you could work for a company and then stop working and you would get paid. So the reason why pensions have failed, okay, so the good things about pensions are what? Huh? Number one, well, I'll just say it, okay? It's forced savings, right? They're not just giving you money, they took money out of your check. Okay, so they forced you to save. You worked there, you didn't see the money, and it went away and you're upset, like where's this money going? But later on in retirement, you get a stream of income. So it forced you to save. Okay? Two, it's lifetime income. Right? When your pension annuitizes, instead of whatever's in the account, now you take, my dad got a pension of $60,000 a year or $5,000 a month. That's it. It's gone. He's at 60 grand a year. It doesn't matter if my dad lived 100 years after retirement, he's going to get that 60,000. Okay? So there's no market fluctuation. It's lifetime income, forced savings, and it's fixed. It's fixed. So my dad knew how to live on that, or most people, they know, hey, I get $5,000 a month, I got to make this work, right? Instead of it not being fixed and you just have access to $300,000, we know what happens. I'm retired now, right? We can't see that far. We don't understand. So it's better being fixed, right? So the problem with pensions, though, are what? People aren't working at the same place, right? Companies can't afford pensions. You know what people started doing? Executives and companies, in order to not go bankrupt, they started borrowing from the pension fund. So they say, hey man, we're about to go under. Oh, well there's this retirement that Omar has put away, and all of these people's funds are $100 million, and we need to do $10 million. We just need $10 million. That's it. It's just a one-time thing. We'll pay it back. But then, you know, just like a family into debt, they say, well, we do need another 5, and we need to renovate so we can increase our prices, and then they start debt borrowing from the pensions, right? So, and that was a huge thing, and you know, then the states get involved and all this stuff, and so they just start saying, hey, forget pensions. We just can't do it, right? So that's why pension. Now, there are a lot of bad things about pensions. Pensions are not great either, okay? Because, like, number one, when you get a pension, you forfeit basically what's in your account, and you get $60,000 a year, right? So why is that bad? Huh?
Prices go up, things go up, inflation.
Okay, so yeah, and then some pensions have cost of inflation. But what if you need 100 grand? Right? What if you want 100? What if you don't even want the money and you'd like it to grow? Also, what happens when you die? When you die, right? When my dad passes away, my mom, if she's still alive, God willing, right? She'll only get 50%. But what happens when my mom passes away? It's gone. So there is limited survivorship. When you have an account, it can go to wherever you want it to go. So if you have $1 million, right? So my dad is not, the company's not doing him a favor by giving him 60 grand a year. He's accumulated about 1.2 million from his paycheck. Because usually a pension will give you 5% of what you've accumulated. So he's gotten 1.2 million. My dad would rather have the 1.2. Okay? Because what if you need 200? What if you get medically sick? What if you need $500,000 for surgery. And it might not be FDA approved or insurable, and you want to get a special surgery done, and it's costly. And it could potentially say, my dad doesn't have that option in terms of his retirement account. He'd have to go to his personal funds. But they had $1.2 million, right? Or what if in a pension, if you, like, God forbid, a lot of times people stop working, they die in 3 years. The company gave them 180 grand, that's it. And then they got the rest, right? So pensions are a bad deal. So now they have started new things, okay? And I'm going to go through just basically the 401k real quick, okay? So now what they say is, all right, look, it is a competitive marketplace. We want people to work for our company, so we're going to offer a retirement plan. We're not going to do away with pensions. I mean, we're going to do away with pensions, but we're going to give 401ks, which are corporate-sponsored, private corporation, corporation retirement plans. Say, look, if you work and you contribute money, I'll contribute money. I being SAIC. So you contribute 6% of your annual salary, I'll contribute 6%. And if you work here for 4 years, you can have all the money, right? That's what we call a what? Say it. Vesting schedule, right? And say, well, I may not work here for 4 years, so if you work 2, you get 50%, right? So that money is not like, they're not matching 6, they're matching 6 if you stay 4. Right? You understand? What's the problem with that? If you save. If you save. If you save 6%, most people are what? They're not saving. And so a great match on no savings is what? 0 times 0 is 0. Right? And then so people don't have retirement. And I asked somebody yesterday, I forgot who I was talking to, maybe it's one of you guys in here. It was your buddy. They came in for an interview. Real sharp guy. I asked him, I said, hey, do you have, like, he was just asking how we get clients and what type of service, and I just gave him, I started explaining, and I did the 401k. He's like, oh man, I should. He's like, yeah, I was like, how long you work for your company, right? Because if I meet with him, I'm going to try to turn it into he's married, he has a kid on the way, so I try, he's like, hey, you have an old 401k? Or I was like, how long you work for your company? He's like, 3 years. I was like, oh, what'd you work before that? How many years? I was like, hey, do you have a 401k? What'd you do with it? He's like, damn. And I went through a little of this, and then he goes, I cashed it out. And he knew, like, I didn't have to tell him, because he probably got hit with the tax bill. He's like, wow, that was really stupid of me, right? So not only that, you have access to the money. And the situation is dire. I need it. I need this 40,000. I mean, 59.5. I know I really need it right now. Wait, so I can withhold? Okay, I'll just do it. And they take the money and they raid their retirement account. So you can't do that really with the pension. And so now we have this, you jumping around. You can save. There's a match. You can raid your retirement. And what happens? No one is saving. Nobody's saving. They don't understand the benefit. They don't see the long-term value of it. And what happens when people don't have money, any money for retirement? It's a really bad situation. Okay? Really, because what happens? Then older people, okay, and I'm not saying this like direct, then you can only work so long and then you're just dependent. You're just dependent on everybody. And if people are not saving now as young, how can you take care of people when they're old? They have no money. It's just a really terrible situation. And I'm not saying we're going to save everybody. We can start helping people save, right? And you got to understand why the system is broken, right? And so understanding this a little bit, right? So why pensions don't work, why they failed, why retirement works, how to save for retirement in the Roth IRA, and then I'm going to go through a couple different things. Okay, so when I talk to a client, right, I said, look, let me are you aware of how your retirement options work? Just to see where they go, right? So, yeah, I am. You know that. How much is in your retirement? Nothing. Well, then you're not aware. You read a book, but you don't know. You've heard about it, right? But you're not living it and experiencing it. Yeah, okay, so let me explain, and if I'm with a trainee, I always do this, right? And let me show you, this would be great for Maurice, because, you don't want to kind of sound too rudimentary with them, but Maurice will really learn a lot. And then they can hear it again and stuff like that, right? So when people started realizing that people stopped saving money for retirement and pensions are gone, they started these things called qualified plans. Right? You've heard of these: 401k, 403b, TSP, IRA, Roth IRA, SEP IRA. The way that these are set up is who is the administrator of these, who is establishing these accounts. So 401k is what? Corporation. 403b is a nonprofit. TSP is the government thrift savings program. IRA is hold on. What is IRA? Write down what I love it. Donovan, what does IRA stand for? Don't help him.
Individual retirement account.
Damn, I thought I was going to get you. Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry? Did I say something wrong to you, man? No. Individual retirement. I knew I wouldn't. I should have called on you, Diego. I know. God knows what you. Roth IRA, SEP IRA, right? So Roth IRA is a different form of an IRA, and SEP IRA is what? Self-employed, right? You're self-employed. Now, so the benefits are some of the contribution limits, right? In IRA, you can only do $5,500. Roth IRA, $5,500. SEP IRA, you can do 20% or 25% of your business income up to $54,000, right? And one thing that you should get your hands on, especially if you're curious, like this is a great piece. Okay, the quick reference guide, it explains everything, like the new tax brackets in 2018, all the different plans, right? 403B, simple IRA, and I don't have all of them. SEP, 401k, Roth IRA, traditional, and you should carry this with you. Okay? It's really good. It's a very, very, very good piece of literature to explain to clients or to show, or if you forget, because you know they change every year, right? It says, like it has a section, qualified plan contribution limits, boom, how much you can put for every plan, single joint, the difference in 2017 and 2018, right?
What's the name of that?
Quick reference guide for retirement accounts. Okay. So anytime you make money, earn money through an investment, through working, like say you bought something for $10,000, you sell it for $100,000, you owe taxes. Okay? Anytime. And so what a qualified plan is, it just protects your money from taxes. Okay, so I want to, like I said, I'm going to use this opportunity to educate a little bit. How does, when you invest in a stock, okay, stock we know, I know some of you guys are new, I'm not trying to go too far. A stock is a piece of a company, it's ownership in a publicly traded company, you own part of it, okay? You own part of the company. So we know stock prices go up, correct? Generally, over time, they go up, right? The problem with, now stocks do go up and down while going up. The problem with other things in your bank, they don't go up. They may not go down, but they don't go up. And costs of things, somebody said it earlier, inflation, right? Who said that? Huh? Robert, right? Inflation, things go up, so you lose purchasing power, right? So if your money's in a bank, you're actually losing money. How does a stock or a mutual fund provide a return for a client? There's three ways. Okay. It's a little, I just want you to understand it a little bit. Okay, I know. Write it down. Write down what you think. Stop cheating, Donald. And Peter and Tia are not the people to cheat on. It's VUL, IUL, life, you got it. If it's FUB, you got it.
Just getting the question, I'm getting the question.
But this one, maybe not. John. Capital gain. Smart, man. Where did you go? Central Michigan or Michigan State? Central. Masters, right? So what? Capital, what did you say? Capital gains. What's a capital gains? A gain is when, like, so say you buy the stock at Apple at $100 and it goes to 200, and the manager or you, if you were running like a Scottrade account, you sell it, that's called a capital gain. It's a realized gain because you sell, right? If it goes from 100 to 500, you don't sell, there's no gain because you didn't sell it. Do you understand that? So that's how capital gains. What else? That's very good. Comic relief. Yeah. Is that how? Equity more shares. Is that how you do it? Huh? No. I'm glad. Good answer. I gave you a chance, man. Equity more shares. You're purchasing, right? How does this stock? How do you gain income from one stock, right? We said what? Capital gains. What else?
Dividends.
Dividends, right? You could invest in a company that gives a bonus to the shareholders. By you owning this company, you're an owner, you're going to share in the profits. So like some companies, they do really well. They give 5% for every, basically your share balance. You know, how much, you say you got 100,000, you get $5,000 a year. That's $400 a month. And Zach, these companies are consistent. They got 40 years of dividends every year. This is not like something, right? So like, the more you learn about investing, the more you learn what? Investing in a bank is the dumbest thing you could ever do. Because literally, these companies like GE and Walmart, they're bigger than banks. They have more money than banks. They have more financial capabilities than banks. So you buy these companies, and they're giving you 5% for owning the company. Any other ones? There's dividend, capital gains, and is there anything else? Income is dividends. And this is kind of a gray one is what? It could appreciate. The stock price could appreciate. Okay? But if you don't sell it, it's kind of, John, it's kind of the same thing as a capital gain. So, right, there is, that is kind of not, you know, it's really 2. Okay? But it's 2.5. Okay? So you can hear it different ways. Okay? Appreciation, which is just stock price. That's really just the account value, but it doesn't provide tangible income. Right? Is that right? Am I making sense? I look at you to see if I'm just making sense.
I mean, if it goes up, if you don't sell it, it's still there.
Right, exactly. So, right, your account value will look more, but it's not a real gain. Okay, everybody understand? So there's appreciation, which is the stock price just going up. Okay, $100 to $200. There's a gain where they sell, and then there's a dividend. Yeah, well, there's unrealized. Yeah, exactly. So, and I don't want to confuse anybody. I'm sure I already am doing it. So, this happens all the time. And if you're not in a retirement account, you would have to pay taxes because a fund will issue what they call a 1099, which is a 1099 is an income tax form, right? And so we don't have to worry about this, Zach, because most of our money is in a retirement account, and we don't know what they're doing. But this is what they are doing. Like, I have an account that is a non-qualified. It's not qualified. It's just a normal mutual fund, and I get a 1099 every year. And the dividends alone on that one fund, or on that one account, are 40 grand a year. So I have gotten 40,000. Now, I reinvest it, but you still have to pay. So I got 40 grand. I have to, like, so, like, when I say, and look, I can't even imagine the Bruce Cox and Christian Davids. Okay? I can't even, think about it. I made $35,000 a year. My investment account, the dividends, is $40,000 a year now. See, that's why I never bought stupid shit. I saved my money, now my money buys me stupid shit. Because I have a car, right, that my brother will potentially buy for me. Okay? Or Omar. Okay? I mean, it's great. But my car payment, right? I have a car payment. It's it's $900 a month. Just call it. It's a little less. Call it 10 grand a year. Well, my investment account pays that. So I could have ran out and bought a car, and then I'd pay it. But no, I saved my money and drove old cars, and now my investment account pays it from the dividends. You know, Rhonda Byer, I shared an office with her, and she got money. 21 years, and this was 6 years ago. 21 years, she had already been making $1 million a year for 21 years.
Wow.
And so I was like, you know, I'd always just pick her brain, and me and her were really tight. And I would just ask her, and she said, I have an account that has $1 million in it. And the dividends alone from that account are $50,000 to $60,000 a year. She goes, I take that $50,000, that's my travel budget. You know how much, you know how you can travel on $5,000 a month? I mean, you're not like Beyonce, but you can, I mean, anything you can do. Like, she would tell me that she'd go on cruises, and there are more people, and this is like, not a cruise like we go on. Like the Carnival cruise, it's like a buffet line, here's your hard-boiled egg, you know what I mean? Like, there's like, there are cruises like that there are 50 passengers and 200 people serving those 50. Like, everybody has 4 people. Like, I went on a cruise, you know, and it was like a spring, it was an incentive that Brett had run, and it was like a spring break cruise, you know? And there's like, you have a concierge, just one person for the whole floor. And by the end of the 3-day cruise, the concierge wanted to jump off the ship. You know? Like, say, I'm quitting. I'm just going to jump off and swim back to shore. You know? And it was like a prison on a freaking boat. Like, it's just like, you know, you're in this little room. Hey, guys, go out for 2 hours and come back. You know, like, ooh, airtime. Hey, we're in the yard. You know, pretty shaky each other on the break. Like, I'll never go on a cruise again. I promise you, I'll never go on a cruise again. Like cruise, like, no, I'm never cruising. I was the worst experience of my life. Bunking with the roommate. It's just like the bars instead of a door. Like it was just awful. It was literally prison food too. This is not the cruises that people go on. I mean it. Like, it's a little freaking, basically a yacht with 50 people, with 200 people serving you. That's why you save your money. Because you don't understand what it'll provide for you later, man. Right? You save a lot of money, you know, I think I was telling Matt, you know, my property tax for this new house is $1,500 a month. That's my property tax. $1,500 a month. $1,500 a month. But, you know, I have a dividend account that's going to pay, maybe not all of that, but some of it, right? But, you know, this is how right? This is what we get clients to think about, right? You start saving money, and your money gets you money. Gets you money. How are you going to forget that? That is what you're famous for. So, tax deferred or tax delayed. I just got a couple minutes, and I'm going to stop, right? So, tax deferred. Okay, most programs are tax deferred or tax delayed, which means your contributions are pre-tax. So the benefit is you don't have to pay taxes now, right? It makes your income look lower. So you contribute $10,000 to your 401k, you make $100, now it's $90. Okay? But when you pull money out in retirement, every time you take a withdrawal, you have to pay taxes. Okay? So what that does, Zach, is it kind of prevents you from taking large withdrawals. Because you might need 30 or 40 or 50,000, but you don't want to pay at minimum 25% of that, or 20%. You don't want to like write a $10,000 check. You don't want that withheld. So usually you take smaller withdrawals, right? That's why a tax-free, which I'll talk about, is a lot better because you can take bigger withdrawals, right? For whatever reason. Then there's tax-free. So you're taxed on the principal and the growth, but then there's tax-free, which is after-tax money, which means this does not have any effect on your tax. You know, your taxes for that year. The contributions are after tax. This $100,000, it grows to $100,000. Well, you can take it out whenever you want. It doesn't matter. You're not taxed on it. So you're just taxed on the initial amount, which is the principal. Where would you rather be taxed? On the principal or the principal and growth, right? You'd rather be taxed on just the principal. So, and you can see it in the quick reference guide, but the 401k versus the 401k versus the Roth IRA, for example, right? A lot of you guys do your 401k, which is fine. That's a great program. You should keep doing that. And you should, you know, the thing about me, this is how I saved money. Okay? This is how I was crazy about saving money. It didn't matter. When I was part-time, I saved 100% of what I made. I didn't spend it. I saved 100%. 100%. But when I went full-time, I saved even to this day, I save 50% of what I make. So if I make more money, I will spend more money, but I also save more money. And that's a goal that everybody should. And where did I learn that? Rhonda Byer taught me that. She's like, this is what I do. So it motivates me to make more money because I do want to spend more money. But as I make more, I save more and spend more, right? So the 401k, you can save up to $18,500. There's no income limit. The Roth IRA is $5,500, and there's an income limit, right? So if you make over this, you can't do it. If you make in between this, you can do a partial contribution. But if you make less than this, you can do a full $5,500. So we know what? By how limited this is a much better program, right? They're not going to let you, the government doesn't want you to save millions of dollars and then you never pay any taxes on it. That wouldn't, they want some of their money, right? But they'll say, hey, look, put a little bit of money away and you can get this tax free. Also, there's something called the eternal IRA. Anybody know what that is? Okay, the eternal IRAs, your IRAs can go to your kids, right? So if I say, for example, like my dad, he has an IRA, okay, big account, and it comes to outside my wife, my mom, it comes to us. How does that work? Because in an IRA, do you have to start taking money out of it? Traditional, what age? 7. And how much do you have to take? 3.5%, right? Why are they doing that? Because they want some tax money. They're not going to let that grow. You didn't pay taxes up, and you got to start paying us. And we'll take the taxes on a bigger amount. So say it comes to me, I have to pay taxes on that, right? Because it's the age of the deceased, 70.5. So if my dad got, my dad's already over 70.5, but say, like your parent dies at 60 and it goes to you, well, when your parent would have been 69 or 70.5, then you have to start taking withdrawals and you have to start paying taxes. And what's the tax bracket on that, Samir? Is it the kids or the parent? So it's at the kids' tax bracket, which is going to be a lot greater than the parent. But they got the money, and it wasn't really inherited. So I get that, right? The Roth IRA, it goes, and it grows tax-free, and it doesn't matter when you take those withdrawals. You don't ever have to take them, and it'll always be tax-free. So imagine that. Like, say I don't spend any in my IRA, I can't do my IRA anymore. So I think I have like $75,000. Okay, from when I was younger. Right? But that's going to say that grows to, start 2 million. Okay? I don't know how long it is, right? 2 million. And then it goes to my kids. Say I give that to my kids, right? They can take that tax-free. Tax-free. They never have to take any money if they don't want to take it. And if they do, they don't have to worry about taxes, right? So the Roth IRA is a lot better. The pecking order for retirement is still 401k up to the match, right? You want to do the match because it's free money, then the Roth IRA, and then you can go back to your 401k. So if we meet a client that's not putting in any money, but they get like a 3% match, well, then we may want to encourage them to do 401k 3% and then the Roth IRA. I just did a client, right? My brother and I met with a client. He's like, I have a little match. He's putting in, he makes a lot of money, probably $150 grand a year and he puts in $300 a month. I was like, man, you make a lot of money. You make 15 grand a month. I mean, not 15, but $14,000 a month. You're putting $300. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, he said, I don't even want to do the 401k. I just want to start the Roth. Because he understands all this stuff. All of it, like the kids, this, distributions. I don't want to have to worry about it. I'd rather do tax-free. I think I'm going to go over the 190 soon, so I just want to do the Roth right now. That was his decision. And so that's what we're doing. We're setting up the Roth for them, right? So these are, let's see if I... All right. I already ran over. I just want to give a quick introduction on it. All right. You ready? Sure. Yeah, we go. So, I mean, when you, there's a couple, I know there's one or two baseball things in here. That's all there is in the whole world. Matt and my brother's a big baseball fan. I hold that against them. But what's the best baseball franchise ever? Yankees. I don't like the Yankees in that, but they're people there too. But they're the best. Baseball's been around since what, 1900? Right. And so in 120 years, okay, they've won 27 championships. 27. 27. Right? They won like 3 in a row, or 3 out of 4, like in the 2000s or 90s. And they had a parade in New York City. There was like 3 million people there at one parade because people love winning. They just love it. And when you became a Yankee, the first week of what is just what it's like to be a Yankee. That's the whole thing that you know. And so you develop this pride of being with the Yankees. And even if you don't like the Yankees, they do classy stuff. They really do. Like, what was that guy, the Asian guy that got traded, but he was the MVP. They came out and they gave him a standing. You know, I think it was Park was his name. You know, if you don't like the Yankees, right? You know they haven't won. But they do a lot of like awesome stuff like that. And you know, you got to know our product, right? Samir's going to talk about our term product and why our term is the best. Because when we go to the kitchen table, right, this is what people are protecting their families with, their kids. And your number one job is to protect dependents, spouses, kids. You got to know our product. You got to know why our product is superior than Northwestern Mutual or New York Life or State Farm or all the other. And I'm talking about term product. Obviously, term's better than whole life. We know that. But why our term is better than their term? Why our term is better than their group term? So even sometimes it may cost more, but you got to know it. You got to develop the pride in our product, right? We're the Yankees. 41 years of excellence. All right. Let's give it a. Would you finish that the month? 26,700 income. Yeah. Huh? What was your goal, Larry? Huh? Dude, 27,000, no kids is like 150 million. Yeah. Like a max contract in the NBA. Give it up, Samir Perez.
My sister comes and visits with the kids. She lives in New Jersey, and you know, she made a lot of money. She had her own. She was a government contractor. She would get her own contracts, so she didn't work for a company. She was self-employed. And then when she got married, she quit her job, and then she made her husband. She's like, "Why are you working for a company? I'll help you get your own contracts." And she doubled his income that way. So the other day she was at the house and they visited for like a week at a time, and she was saying, just asking questions like, oh, where did you eat, what did you do, where did you go, things like that. And so I was kind of telling her, and she's like, well, yeah, you can do those things because you have one income, but you're also one person, right? And so she was kind of like justifying why she's not doing the things that maybe I'm doing or that she used to do, right? Because she was single for a long time. She got married maybe 36 years old or something like that. And, but I think about it, it's like, well, Shaq has kids, you know? He does the things that I do. He goes where I go. He has it, right? So the answer is not, you know, it's not always lowering your means, kind of the opposite of what you were just saying, you know? But the answer is not always living below your means. It's also raising your means as well, right? So whatever you're not doing, I'm talking to my sister, like whatever you're not, and I didn't say this to her, I don't care to say this anymore, you know, just fight, but you know, whatever you're not able to do that I'm doing, you can just go make more money, you know? And so it's amazing. I mean, and that's why you got to come to training, and because this guy, he built his business with, like, he built a family and a business at the same time. Sometimes people look at me and I get it. You may not have it in common if you have kids, wife, I get that. So when you come to training, you meet other people that you have more in common with. I get that, right? But he got married in the business. He had 3 kids in the business. He's raising the kids in the business. He's bought homes in the business. He pays for private school in the business. I mean, everything was through the business. You look at Olia, right? They made $36,000 last month. That's my exchange. That's who I gave up. Made $36,000 in a month. She made more than me last month, right? She had a huge securities trade or whatever it is. Okay, I do make more than them annually, but you know, last month I made more. So, you know, and I look at that. When I met her, she had her first baby, Isidro, and the baby was just a couple months old, and so she wanted to do something part time, and that's when I hired her and I trained her. $35,000 last month. they've only lived in Florida for like 2 years. This is a new market still for them, you know. And she now has 3 kids. So she went from having an infant coming in Primerica to 3 kids now, raise a family. I mean, she would leave for like 3 months at a time. She went to Thailand. She's very international. You know, her family's all over the world. And you look at their income, you look at their lifestyle, it's like, and then people make excuses. They act like they're busy. You know, I got recruits that aren't here right now, like people I spend time with, they're not here. I was just texting them the topics of the training. Hey, by the way, in training, we went over the unique aspects of term, which I'm going to go over right now. You know, all the different aspects of retirement accounts. You know, and by the way, Sophia went over how to prospect at networking meetings, how to recruit. Like, you just freaking missed that? I don't understand what's going through people's minds. Like, when you miss training, like, do you want to make money? Shaq and I are getting today, God willing, right? We have a split client from when I first started the business and I didn't have a securities license, and he went out and got that client. He's nice enough now. He splits the business, all the subsequent investments. This guy's going to invest $420,000 today. Me and him today in the afternoon today are making $5 grand. That's after he just got paid a 20 grand bonus. Oh, wow. I got checks coming in, clients liquidating. I'm just waiting for the money to hit. I don't know what's going to happen this month. And people miss training. And they act like they got reasons. It's unbelievable to me, dude. The stuff that we go over, the power you can have if you just learn and get good at this stuff, you know. So it was awesome, man. I love when you go over your income. That's the difference, you know. I have a base shop, it's okay. You know, I've got a couple RVPs. This guy has a hierarchy. That's the difference, you know. My bonus, 4 or 5 grand, nothing compared to his 20. You know, I got to work for my money throughout the month to make sure that I can get my income up. You know, you start the month with 20 grand. You put that up? Yep. Let's go over this real quick. So, for some of the veteran people that have been around for a while, I'm going to make this real quick. I'm not going to go more than 10 minutes. Do you remember how when you used to make a quote, like if you go into, and this is a great tool, where if you go into your quick quote, you can give someone a quote and your app can turn it into a PDF right on your phone, and then you can send someone the PDF. Well, if it was higher than a 20-year term, what that PDF would say our rates are only guaranteed for 20 years, right? So I didn't like sending that PDF because if someone's getting a 30-year term, why would they want a term where the rate's only guaranteed for 20? Now, some of you guys may not have noticed that, that's what was happening. So I never sent that PDF. Now, it's hard to explain to the client, hey, we've never changed our rates. We're only doing that because the Treasury Department, the NAIC back in the day, you know, they didn't want companies to guarantee past 20 years and all that. Whatever the case may be, why we did that, now, the Cedro, they announced that we're guaranteed for the full 35 years, right? Awesome. So the rates scheduled and maximum will be the same, which means that when you quote people and you send them the quote, it's going to have all the benefits of our term. It's going to have their quote on there. It's going to have, you know, minimum and maximum options, and then of course it's going to be guaranteed for the full term. So for those of you guys who know what I'm talking about, that's a big deal. They also introduced automatic increase requests. So this is something that's unique about Primerica, is that, I mean, if this is the only insurance company you work for, which that's 99.99% of us, you think that the things that we do, every other company does. That's not true. We have a very strict compliance department. And one of the things that Primerica does that's very unique is when someone applies for a policy, we give them a lower rating if they were to qualify. So for example, if I sit down with Devin and I say, hey, your insurance quote at a standard rating is $50 a month, they do the research on him, they do his blood work, and they say, no, this guy's preferred plus. His policy should be $31 a month. That policy will be issued at $31 a month. Now you're telling me that freaking New York Life, if someone's willing to apply for a $50 a month policy, they're going to say, oh, no, yours is only supposed to be $30. Only Primerica does that. It doesn't matter what you apply for, you're going to get the rating you were supposed to get. Does that make sense? Now, there's a consequence to that. And it wasn't a bad consequence, but there is a consequence, right? So I put in a $50 app on Devin. They advance me on $600 of premium, right? Now, when his policy gets issued for $30, that's a $20 a month difference that now they have to charge back on me. That's fine. Client's happy. You know, what is it called? Under promise, over deliver, right? You say, hey man, isn't this exciting? Instead of 50, it's gonna be 31. Client's happy. Oh, I got a good rate. Well, what the company is doing now, Marilyn, is they're saying, if you click this air button, automatic increase request, they'll increase your coverage instantly upon issuing of the policy, and they'll use that additional premium since you were willing to pay for a $50 a month premium. Now, instead of $250,000 of coverage, right, maybe you'll go to $350 because now you're at a preferred rate. Does that make sense? So you won't get a chargeback, and the client will get more coverage because they were willing to apply for a $50 a month policy. I mean, do you know how often that happens? Every single one of Sheila's clients, it's not every single one, many of her clients get Preferred Plus. Healthy people, you know, they're in the right market, and so sometimes she gets scared and she applies for standard on the policy. They come back Preferred Plus. That's a huge difference. You know, you apply for an $80 a month policy, comes back Preferred Plus, it could go down to $45, right? And then she makes me do all the paperwork, right, which is justified, right? And then obviously I make Alex do it. She'll come back and she'll say, hey, they got Preferred Plus, they were willing to pay 80, do this, do an increase, can you increase the term, whatever. Now it's a click of a button, and you guys are going to get paid more, the client's going to have more coverage. So that's a new feature that's going to be in there. But back to this, I mean, you can send someone a quote right from your app. You can put in quick quote, then you hit next, you can say generate PDF, it'll create an awesome proposal, and you can hit email. That's how iPhone works. You email, and it'll go right to the client's email. So that's cool. Let's go down.
Is that a basic illustration or just a
Roger?
Now saying iPhone, Apple, Team Apple.
Nope. No, it doesn't include basic illustration. Let's go. All right, so let's see what we have here, right? Complementary financial needs analysis. Oh, I found a cheaper rate, I found this, I found that. Oh, are they going to do everything for you? We'll do a financial needs analysis. What's this worth? Personalized solution, financial education, convenience, service, and house calls. Are they going to come to you? I'm here. I didn't ask you to come to my office, right? I'm here. I'll come to you as often as you want me to. Guaranteed insurability to age 95. So after the term is up, you can keep renewing. You don't have to reprove your medical history. Not every company does that. Guaranteed rates for the entire term. We just talked about that. Affordable, customizable. How can we make a custom term? Right? Sometimes someone has $1 million policy and you want to compete with their million, right? And so if you give them $1 million for 30 years, let's say that they only have 17 years left on their $1 million. They've had it for 13 years. Your $1 million for another 30 years is going to be a lot more expensive than their $1 million right now. You can do a custom term. You can say, hey, I'll put $500,000 for 15 years, another $500,000 for 20 years, another $200,000 for 30 years. You can stack terms on top of terms. It brings down the overall cost. And over time, as terms drop off and their savings grows and their need for insurance goes down, right, the cost will go down as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do here where we can customize. Automatic increase request, we talked about that. Lapse protection benefit. What's that? So the company has this box that you can click, and they started this originally for people to be able to buy term invest the difference without having a securities license, because it's not a securities product. And what you can do is you can draft more from their account than what the policy actually is. Let's say the policy is $50 a month, you can draft $100 a month, and they'll put that other $50 into a money market. So they're accumulating some savings on the side of their term policy, What it's used for, though, is that if the person's policy falls behind versus that policy being canceled, it'll go into that savings account and it'll pay the premium from that. So we don't do it often, but that is there. Waiver of premium, you get disabled, we will pay your premiums for life in the waiver of premium. The other thing that waiver of premium does is it turns up the terminal illness benefit rider from 40% to 70%. It also makes the terminal illness rider benefit go from a maximum of $250,000 to $400,000. You guys writing this down? I know it. You may not know it. You got to write it down.
And we're getting a lot of calls for that, terminal illness. I just had one this week. Client 2 years ago got rectum cancer. He just got it, and he needs money for health treatment. We're going to see if he can get it. It doesn't look like he'll be able to get it right now because it's not, the cancer's not that aggressive, but it could be, and he's asking about it.
Because he needs the money for surgery.
He needs the money for surgery.
Right? Terminal illness rider. Waiver of premium, we insure up to 35 years. There was a time where we could say we were the only insurance company with a 35-year term. Now there's a couple, but we're very competitive with those companies as far as rates goes. 94% of claims paid within 14 days. You know why? Because the person has an agent. And we go and we facilitate the process. It's not calling 800. I mean, this last claim I had to pay where the person passed away abroad, that was a lot of paperwork. It was an external investigation, make sure that the death certificate was real and all that. I didn't have to do anything, man. I went there, I got a little bit of paperwork. I communicated with all the different companies to make that happen. It wasn't 14 days. It took me 30 days to pay that benefit, maybe 40 days. But if the client had to do that on their own, I don't even know if right now it would have been paid. It was a very long process. But in a normal, they pass away here, it's past the 2-year incontestability period, they're going to get it within a matter of days because of you. Up to 70% of face amount terminal illness benefit. So if a doctor writes a note saying that you have 6 months or less to live, they'll give you either 40% or 70% of your total face amount while you are alive. Okay? So if someone has $250,000, 40% of that is $100,000. You're terminally ill, they give you that $100,000. Maybe you pay for better health care, maybe some outside procedure. Sheila had a client, it was called proton therapy. They felt it was a less invasive way to get rid of the cancer because it was in his neck, right? This proton therapy, it didn't get approved by the insurance company, and if you wanted to pay for it out of pocket, it was $250,000. Now, Shaq, if you don't use that and you use a more invasive form of chemotherapy, all the radiations right here, I don't know. They were saying he could lose his sense of smell, his taste. Is that how you want to live? Now, there's another procedure that's less invasive, but it's $250,000. Terminal illness rider. I tell these stories to people. It's very important, right? It keeps the people alive sometimes. Another thing that I heard, I think from another financial advisor somewhere that I read, but when people get terminally ill, the families go bankrupt trying to keep that person alive. So life insurance is great, but life insurance pays after death. If you go bankrupt, you lose your home, you lose your savings, you cash out college, retirement, all that. I mean, yeah, the life insurance comes, but it would have been nice to have that a little bit sooner so we didn't have to lose everything in the process. So terminal illness is huge. Increasing benefit rider, okay? Here's the thing. If you don't explain this to clients, they're going to think that our term rates are going up on them, and they're not going to be upset. I mean, they're not going to be happy. They're going to be upset. And competitors come by and they tell people, oh, Primerica, their term has been going up or whatever. Increasing benefit rider is a huge feature of our policy. This is why. For the first 10 years, it's an option. They send a letter to the client. The client has a choice to decline or not, right? But for the first 10 years, they will increase your policy by 10% coverage and 10% premium without proving insurability. Now, if you increase 10% 10 times, that means that you doubled your policy value, let's say from $250,000 to $500,000. Now, let's say the third year you become uninsurable.
every increase after that, right, is going to be giving insurance without proving insurability, just like the client you have
Yeah,
right
the
now.
client that called with the cancer, he got it 2 years ago, he had a $250,000 policy, it's $300. And I was explaining to him, I was like, hey, you didn't cancel this, it's really good. And he goes, why? I go, because your policy's gonna be $500. His wife felt incredible. He goes, wait, it's just gonna go up? I go, yeah, and you don't have to do a medical. He goes, really? He's gonna have, if he makes it, right, God willing, he's gonna have a $500,000 policy, and he has cancer.
So you applied for 250.
He already has 3. He already has 300. Think about
I
that.
met with a lady in Centerville, when I sat down and I opened up my binder, she's like, oh, Primerica, my dad passed away, that was who paid our death benefit. And she goes, yeah, it was great because, I know he only had $150,000 policy, but they gave me $300,000. Again, increasing benefit, right? Yep. So the maximum for 40 is 250, the maximum for 70 is 400. Family banding. Have you ever gone out in the field and seen another insurance company put husband and wife on the same policy? Never. They're charging 2 policy fees. They're not getting the discounts. So you get discounts when husband and wife, their coverages add up to 150, 250, and 500. So it's more expensive for a client to have 2 $250,000 policies versus putting husband and wife on one. Almost done, 2 minutes. 1 policy for family, 1 child rider covers all of them, right? So we can do up to $50,000 of coverage on each kid with only 1 rider. So if you got 4 kids, our 1 child rider will cover all of your kids simultaneously and all future kids. A child rider, when the child turns 25, will convert it into an individual policy with maybe 3-4 times the coverage without having to prove insurability. E-delivery, which is huge. No war or terror clauses. So Dante's getting a policy, I don't know if that was you or someone else, but they were saying that another insurance company wouldn't, cover them because of that, and we will. We're not going to raise, and we've never raised beyond our schedule rates, right? Industry-leading renewal options. So we have a guaranteed conversion to a 10-year term without proving insurability. So if you're 69, we'll give it to you at 79. If you were Preferred Plus when you got the policy, you'll be Preferred Plus for that 10-year term. You don't have to do a medical exam. It'll be a level 10-year term. So guaranteed will give you a new term after your term expires if you still need it or want it. An affordable renewal rate. So what does our presentation say? It says most companies go 40 times the premium after the renewal. We go about, on average, 12 times. So a renewal rate. So I tell the clients, I'm like, yeah, you might find something cheaper in term 1. What about term 2? That's exactly from Ian Pruckner, right? Because if you extend the term, we call that term 2. So no one's going to beat us in term 2. That might be, maybe you're sick, maybe you have health issues. That might be more important than term 1 if you live that long, right? So term 2, no one's going to beat those renewal rates. No one's going to give you those options for renewal. Any questions? Break for points. You want to say?
Yeah, go ahead. No, you want me to do it?
Yeah.
All right, hey guys, let's awesome job. Give it up for Samir. Great job. The most important part of training is right now, setting appointments for the upcoming week. Okay, we have Capri Sing coming in next week. Get your tickets. There'll be no training here on Saturday. We're going to be at our big event, Rest in Sheraton. 9:30 to 1:30, get your tickets. You got a week to go bananas. We'll set a bunch of appointments. All right, team up here, 1, 2, 3.